Recently, I did a post in the Facebook group that's dedicated to PS3 modification and whatnot, and I posted mine after I saw a post about some guy on YouTube. I think we've all seen. I've seen that video before of a guy taking a fat PS3 and just drilling a bunch of holes on the bottom of his PS3. Now, I did technically the same thing, but mine's slightly different. The reason why I did it like this instead of just drilling a bunch of individual holes is due to the way these scroll cage fans actually act and whatnot. If you do individual holes, you actually decrease its cooling potential. While cutting a hole like this, you actually increase it. Now, with that said, people on the actual group I'm in are saying, why'd you do this? You're stupid, you shouldn't do this, blah, 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 blah. And since no one's actually seems to have really done any proper comparison videos, well, I'm going to do that right now. So I actually haven't used this thing in a while, so I gotta relearn how to hotkey the temperature thing and whatnot. Once I figure that out, then I'll duct tape this thing closed, and we'll actually see temperatures of, well, with it idling with the fan fully open, and of course with it fully blocked off, and of course same thing with gaming. So let me get this thing set up and come back. And of course I'm just going to use simple duct tape to cover up the hole and whatnot, so let me get everything set up and come back. Alright, got everything set up. Like I said, it's been a very long time since I actually powered this thing on, but it should still power up. Alright. Hopefully I remember how to get to the settings for temperature and whatnot. Alright, that is here. No, actually I can't remember how to do it, where to go to. Actually, I think it is this. No, give me a second. Okay, I was right. Like I said, I haven't used this thing in a while. So, these are what the temperatures are like right now, but that's because I just fired it up. So let me get a timer set up and come back. Heck, I don't even use my smartwatch that often. But I'm going to let it sit for 30 minutes, and once 30 minutes are up, then we'll come back and we will see what the temperatures are like. Alright, 30 minutes are up. Let's see what the temperatures are like. They are definitely toasty, so let me figure out what this is in freedoms. Alright, 68C is 154 freedoms. 81C is 177 freedoms. She's running a tad hot. Now, since I don't want to contaminate the testing, I'm just going to shut it down for a while and let it fully cool off. That way so I can rerun this test again with the thing at room temperature. And of course I'll remove the duct tape for that too. So I'll come back in probably like an hour or so after I let this thing cool down and rerun the test. Alright, it's been sitting for a good hour or so. It's cooled down. Let's rerun the test again. Yep, I think it froze. Oh, this sucks. I'm going to reboot the system and come back. The joys of jailbroken PS3s. I'll let it sit for a few seconds before I actually try to re-enable. Here we go. Alright, so I'll reset the timer for 30 minutes and come back. Honestly, this is probably the only use I actually have for my stupid smartwatch, because I rarely use this thing. Alright, 30 minutes are up again, so let's see what the temperatures are like. They are definitely decreased, but not as much as I initially thought, but it is still a decrease nonetheless. And of course that's what the hole right here in the side of the case and whatnot. So with that said, now to shut it down one more time to let it cool again, recover the hole again, and then rerun the test again, but when I'm playing a game. I'm going to be using GTA 5. Someone suggested The Last Fail of Us, but I don't like The Last Fail of Us, and I know GTA 5 also pushes the PS3. So I'm going to come back when this thing's cooled down again and we'll fire up GTA 5. Alright, it's been a little while, but it's now back to room temperature again. And of course I taped up the hole again. Alright, and I believe I have GTA 5 installed on the actual internal drive if my memory serves. I don't. It was in here. Here it is. GTA 5. Alright. Alright, so now I gotta figure out if I can get the little temperature monitor to show up. So I gotta press the home key and press select and start for 2 seconds so I hear a beep. And I can back out of that. Alright, and it's still staying up. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to play GTA 5 for about 30 or so minutes and we'll see what the temperatures are like. Alright, took a little bit, so let's hit start and I'll just do something in the game for 30 minutes to heat up the console. Alright, so I've been playing for no more than like, what, 7 minutes? And the fan has significantly ramped up its speed, as you clearly can tell. And before you say anything, I did delid this system. I stated that before. I'll even post the link to the YouTube video of me actually deleting this thing. But I haven't had this happen to me ever since I cut that hole into the bottom of the case and whatnot. But since I covered it up now, I can, what, 7 minutes in and the fan already kicks in? Jeez. Well, it seems to be slowly spooling itself back down. So it's going to be real interesting when I uncover the hole again and rerun this test. But I can already tell for a fact that I never had this happen before ever since I, like I said, cut the hole inside my PS3's casing and whatnot. Alright, 30 minutes are up and as you saw earlier I had an overheat warning and the fan is just kicked completely in. Obviously, I didn't originally catch the overheat warning because it just happened out of nowhere and I wasn't expecting it. But as you can see, it got really hot. So let's see how hot that is and what everything else is at in freedoms. Alright, so currently the CPU is at 147 degrees Fahrenheit. The GPU is at 172 degrees Fahrenheit. And when I had it overheat in max temp, I was at 180 degrees Fahrenheit. So yeah, with the hole covered up, it got really hot and even overheated. So with that said, I'm going to shut it down again and I'm going to let it cool off and then rerun this test all over again, but with the actual hole, well, uncovered and actually getting proper airflow, because Well, I don't think it should be getting that hot. Alright, cool down once again, so let's fire it back up. As you can see, I removed the tape from the cutout. And I forgot to turn the TV on. Alright, so let's cool down again. Let's run the test again. Obviously, I removed the tape so you thing can actually breathe properly. Oh, it froze again. I wouldn't be surprised if the hard drive I'm using is the cause of it freezing like that. I do notice that when I'm playing GTA 5, it has a hard time loading in assets and whatnot. I'll probably just end up sticking a 120 gig SSD inside the thing as the main boot drive, and then just have an external hard drive or high capacity flash drive for all my games. Back out. Alright, well, same test like last time, so I'll come back in 30 minutes. Or if the console decides to overheat again. I don't think it will, but you never know. Alright, one thing I want to note is that it's running hot, but the fan is only at 26%, and it's maintaining itself. Now, honestly, I'll probably want to custom tune the fan curve so it's a little more higher at the... Alright, so I want to pop in for a quick second. As you can see, it is still running fairly hot. I haven't had any overheat warning yet. I've been playing for about nearly 10 minutes. But one thing you note is that the fan is not ramping up that high. And that's due to the fact that I have a hole in the side of the PS3, surprisingly keeping it fairly cool. Oh, it went up another degree. So it may eventually pop over to the overheat again, but compared to with the covered, it's maintaining itself fairly fine. Now obviously after I'm done doing all this testing, I'll probably go in there and set a custom fan curve, that way so the fan's spinning at a little bit more of a higher RPM. But it is maintaining itself, so if it does overheat, I will obviously come back. Alright, so the 30 minutes are up, and as you can tell, I haven't had a single overheat. With that said though, it is running a tad hot. So I think what I'm going to do, since I've finally actually benchmarked this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in there and set the fan to 35% all the time. That way so it actually maintains itself even better. Now yes, it will be a lot more noisier, but it will maintain its temperatures a lot more better. So speaking of which, I want to once again shut it down one more time and then go into the fan tuning thing of my jailbroken PS3 and set it to 35% and then rerun this test one more time just to see what it will be like for those temperatures. It should be significantly lessened. Alright, I went in and set the fan curve to be 35%. Alright, and just like last time, run GTA 5. Alright, so just like last time, I'll come back in 30 minutes. Alright, so I've let it sit for a little longer than I normally would, but as you can tell, it's running at 69 degrees C for GPU, 56 degrees for the CPU, well within reason for what I want to use. Now, of course, it is a lot more noisier now, but the temperatures are a lot more stable. So with that said, I think I'm going to be keeping the whole on my PS3. Alright, so it's the next day. I read some more of the comments and whatnot. I understand the concerns for airflow on our components and whatnot, and I understand that this is a ticking time bomb. But with that said, as you saw when I covered up the hole, it overheated. So it really doesn't matter if I have the hole covered up or not, because it's not a good thing to have this thing overheat. And as you saw when I uncovered the hole, it didn't trigger the overheat, but it did in fact still get very hot. So I don't know what that's about. But with that said, I am now going to have the fan running at 32%, or not 32, 35% RPM and whatnot and whatever. And that will actually maintain temperatures even more, as you just saw. So it'll also increase the actual airflow throughout the motherboard and whatnot too. And you also got to remember how these things actually work when it comes to heat. As the GPU and CPU overheat or heat up and whatnot, that heat also gets pushed into the motherboard, causing everything else to heat up. And if I can reduce the temperature coming from the CPU and GPU, that also reduces the temperature from the other components and whatnot, maintaining the lifespan of this console. But like I said, I don't use this thing that often anyways, so yeah. So with that said, for my particular use case, for my particular PS3, I got off eBay for $60 that I delid. I stated this before, but I'll state it again. I did delid this. I also used thermal paste. I'm not using some cheap Chinese knockoff crap. I'm using proper thermal paste and everything. This thing just unfortunately runs hot. And I actually need to show what this PS3 model number is. That's the PS3 FAT I own. I know it's an earlier revision. It's not a backwards compatible, but it's an earlier revision nonetheless. But I'm guessing this one just runs hot. I mean, like I said, I got this for $60 off eBay. And the fact I managed to delid this thing the first time and actually get it to still work after that is a massive accomplishment for me. And like I said, I don't use this thing that often. So my concerns aren't as there like other people would for something they actually use this thing on a near constant daily basis. So with that said, I am going to be replacing the hard drive in this thing since it is going bad with a 1TB drive for my laptop. And that's going to be a whole nother ordeal because they just released a new firmware update, so I'm going to have to figure out how to get past that and whatnot. But when it comes to at least my particular PS3 and my particular use case and whatnot and my concerns, I'm keeping the hole, especially considering, like I said earlier, as you saw, I covered the hole up and the thing overheated. So, I don't know what to say at this point.